Let's chant some prayers first. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shamati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachari Nera Vishesha Shunyavadi Pastyatyadesh Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakapatarubhyas Chakripa Sindhu Vyevaja Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita Ki Jai Sri Sanatana Goswami Ki Jai Go Premanande. So yes, we reached on Monday, we reached verse 20, is it 25, that's correct. Well, we finished on verse 24. So now we go on to verse 25. And what happened, if you remember, is that, who remembers what happened right at the end, right, what was the very concluding part? Who remembers? Yes?
Yes. Uttara asked that what is the destination of the different types of devotees, and if it's the same, it's intolerable for her.
Yeah, well that's good, well done. And there must be a higher place for those special devotees. Yeah, so that's where we ended with verse 24. So now we go on to 25. Yeah, okay. And it's the beginning of a section. It's actually a section that goes from verse 25 to verse 109. It's really long. And anyway, let's just take it step by step. The first subsection, you could say, is from 25 to 32. And here, Maharaja Pariksit starts telling his own story from 25 to 32. So let's begin. Delighted by this most pleasing inquiry from Mother Uttara, her son Pariksit bowed down to her and began his reply. Tears poured from his eyes, and his bodily hairs stood on end. So, yeah, you ask a good question. There are different levels of questions. But if you ask a really good question, this may happen. That the person you're asking the question to becomes so ecstatic, tears may pour from his eyes, his bodily hairs may stand on end. If you see that happening, you know you just asked a good question. 26. Sri Pariksit said, "My dear mother, for you who live only for Sri Krishna, separation from him is intolerable. This question of yours is most praiseworthy. No one has ever asked this question before." That's interesting, isn't it? This question that, isn't there surely an abode even higher than Vaikuntha? It's never been asked before. Amazing. Yes. And he calls her Sri Krishna Jivata, which means, well, as the verse translation itself says, one who lives only for Sri Krishna. Yeah. Or it could mean one whom Sri Krishna brought back to life, because there's the story, it's in the first canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, I think it's chapter 9, how Ashwatama fired the Brahmastra weapon to kill Maharaja Pariksit in the womb of Uttara. And so if it had struck Uttara, it would have destroyed her. But Krishna protected her, and Krishna protected Maharaja Pariksit, because actually the Brahmastra, the weapon of Ashwatama, actually killed Pariksit. But the Lord, on the spot, just like that, gave him another body. Right, 27. Krishna himself granted me the fortunate privilege to be born here from your womb as a grandson of his dear friend Arjuna, the husband of Sri Subhadra. Yes. So Pariksit understands he's only going to be able to recite such an elevated subject matter if he gets the mercy of Krishna. Otherwise, there's no question. Yeah. So here now in these few verses, Pariksit is explaining the mercy he got from Krishna at that time in the womb of his mother. To protect both me and you from the Brahmastra weapon, Krishna appeared within your womb, holding his disc and club. In my childhood, he led me to search constantly among men for his own form, a meditation worthy of the most exalted Vaishnavas. That's an interesting little point. You know, this word Pariksit, this is Maharaj Pariksit. He's reciting all of these things to his mother Uttara. And is the person who Shukadev Goswami recited Srimad Bhagavatam to. But do you know, maybe some of you do, what does the name Pariksit mean? Should I ask you, Mother Radharani? You know? Not exactly. It means searcher, one who searches. As it's stated here, that he led, in my childhood, he led me to search constantly among men for his own form. So Pariksit, after this, after being saved in the womb, then when he came out, he was always searching. Where is that person who saved me? Krishna. This is what Pariksit means. Yeah. He looked, when he appeared within the womb of Uttara, and Pariksit saw him, then he looked of Pariksit says, with 4 long beautiful arms, earrings of fiery gold, eyes blood red with fury, and his club constantly encircling him like a shooting star, the Lord whirled about the child. So this really inspired Pariksit, and all through his childhood, he was always looking, where can I find that person? Searcher or examiner. Examiner. We examine Arjunacharya. Are you that person I saw within the womb? No? No comment. No, your eyes are not blood red with fury, and you don't have 4 arms. Verse 29, by him, Krishna, by him I was endowed with the qualities of great saints and made famous for subduing Kali. No, that's there in the 1st canto, how Maharaj Pariksit found Kali attacking a bull and a cow. And he confronted Kali and stopped him. And he was just going to execute him on the spot. But then Kali surrendered to him and said, for a Kshatriya, if someone surrenders to you, you can't kill them. You got to look after them. So I surrender to you, so you must give me a place to live in your kingdom. So Maharaj Pariksit had to do that. Of course, he didn't want to have Kali there, the personality of Kali Yuga, but he had no choice. So Pariksit told him that you want to live in my kingdom, but you only live where there's intoxication, illicit sex life, meat eating, and gambling. And these things are not going on in my kingdom, so I have no place for you. You'll have to go somewhere else. But then Pariksit understood there was one man who was thinking of hoarding gold. Just thinking of hoarding gold. So Maharaj Pariksit allowed Kali to go and live in his mind. And gradually from there, Kali took over. And as we know, all around us. Verse 30, when I heard of that curse. Now what curse? We all know what curse, but just wondering if there's reference. No, there's no reference. But anyway, when I heard of that curse, I took it as most welcome. Sri Vasudev, in the form of a Brahmin's disciple, was dragging me out of the blind well of family life and guiding me to choose to fast till death on the shore of the celestial Ganga. So yeah, this is referring to the cursing of Maharaj Pariksit, on the basis of which he came to the banks of the Ganges or the Yamuna, where many great sages, demigods, and others gathered, and ultimately Shukadev Goswami came to speak Bhagavatam to him. It was on the basis of that curse. So if a person gets cursed by someone who has the power to curse, means if they utter some curse, it will happen like that, whatever the curse is. Of course, we know that if someone utters a curse, but they haven't got the power to sort of impose it on the person, then the curse comes back to them. The cursor, the one who gave the curse. So therefore, don't curse anyone, because, you're all great souls, but I don't think you have the potency. So, but, normally if you get cursed, then it's not nice, it's terrible, it's a disaster. But Maharaj Pariksit, when he found out, he didn't know till later in the day, or maybe the next day or something like that, when the father of the child who cursed him came and told him, I'm sorry, but my son has cursed you, and it will come to be. And the father, he offered that, if you want, I will remove the curse. Just remove it. But Pariksit, like we're hearing here, he took it as welcome, and he didn't ask that, oh, well, if you could remove it, that'd be nice. He took it as Krishna's mercy. Krishna's calling me to him in this sort of way because I'm just too materially attached to do it voluntarily. So like this, Krishna in the form of a Brahman's disciple, that's this child, Shringi, was dragging me out of the blind well of family life. That's a little bit like this morning, isn't it? The blind well of family life. And guiding me to choose to fast till death on the shore of the celestial Ganga. Yes, so therefore Pariksit did not ask for the curse to be removed, although he could have. And I'm sure so many people would have, but he didn't. He took it as Krishna intervening personally in his life. And I can just tell you, devotees, that if Prabhupada, there's one thing in particular which Prabhupada said in that sort of vein, or, when you can know something as Krishna wants you to do something specific. Prabhupada said, if the temple authorities ask you to do some particular service, you should take it that Krishna wants you to do that. That's good, isn't it? It's not just abstract. They just needed someone to do something, and you just happened to walk along at the wrong time. And they said, oh, could you wash the pots, please? Or something. And, you may think, oh no, they caught me. But actually, if it's really authorized, you should know Krishna wants you to do it. Oops, okay, sorry. Oh, what have I done? Sorry, pressed the wrong button. Right. $29. Yes. Okay. Right, verse 29. By him I was endowed with the qualities of great saints and made famous for subduing Kali. By faithfully following him, I gained wonderful royal opulences. Then, through a Brahman's curse, he made me renounce everything. Thirty. When I heard of, I already read that. 31. In the assembly of most eminent sages, the Lord dispelled my fear by explaining the truth through Shukadev, and the Lord delighted me by granting the association of his dear devotees. Now I shall help you drink the nectar of topics about the Lord. So Pariksit got that mercy to hear this nectar, incredible nectar, about Krishna personally and about his devotees. So he got that special mercy through Shukadev, and now he wants to give his mother that same mercy to help her come closer to the Lord in that way. 32. I bow down to him, Sri Krishna, the reservoir of causeless mercy. Out of respect for the words of the Brahman, I have accepted the appointed time for my demise. That time being momentarily delayed, I shall answer your question with one pointed attention by describing the essence of all Vaishnav scriptures. So, it's interesting. The story, the sort of chronology, the flow of it all is that after Shukadev Goswami recited Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaja Pariksit, then the snake bird was meant to come, as according to the curse. We just heard about the curse a little. So the curse was that he'd be bitten by a snake bird. But the snake bird, when Srimad Bhagavatam recitation was finished, the snake bird did not come immediately. It only came after Pariksit had recited the entire Brihad Bhagavatamrita, which, it takes time. We're doing an hour a day. Of course, we're making some comments. This is about our 44th day, or 43rd? 44th day. So it took some days. It was not just, Shukadev Goswami finishes, snake bird comes, and that's it. Took some time. So, (33) I could satisfy your request by explaining to you the statements of the Shrutis and Smritis, both in their literal meaning and in their implications. Okay, this is one way, because she's made her request, we already mentioned. Is there such a place? What is there? If there must be a place which is higher than Vaikuntha for those special devotees. Is it true? So that's her request. And Pariksit says, I could satisfy your request by quoting scripture, referring to scripture. Shruti and Smriti means different Vedic scriptures, basically, both in their literal meaning and in their implications. But I prefer to clarify this subject for you by first relating a history I learned by the mercy of my spiritual master. This narration will dispel your doubts. So what is that? It is the story of Gopakumar. Gopakumar going back to Godhead. Gopakumar ultimately going to that place that Uttara is inquiring about, that place beyond Vaikuntha, which is only for the very special devotees, including those who serve Radha Radhanath. Yeah. Right. So he feels this is better than just sort of like general Vedic discussion. This is like very deep, extremely deep, and very intimate story of the experiences of this special devotee, really special devotee, and how after a long time and all sorts of, you could say, adventures, he went back to Goloka. He found that special place. Okay, so 35. So now he's going to begin the story. Listen carefully because it sort of goes back and forth. Yeah. It's not just like once upon a time there was such and such and he did this and that and then they all lived happily ever after. Sure, it does go around a bit here and there. So, but here we begin. Long ago, in the city of Pragjyotisha, there lived a poor Brahmin. He was ignorant of the teachings of Scripture, and he hankered after abundant wealth. Yeah, so he was not a pure devotee, a poor Brahmin. Verses 36 and 37. Every day he would faithfully worship Kamakya, the goddess of that place. Kamakya is like a demigoddess, I think a form of Durga. And when she became satisfied, he received from her in a dream the 10-syllable mantra for worshipping the lotus feet of Madan Gopal. The goddess also gave him instructions on how to meditate upon the mantra and perform various details of practice. The mantra manifest itself before him like a valuable treasure chest opened right before his eyes. Wow. So the mantra, 10-syllable Gopal mantra. It's a very traditional Vaishnav mantra. Yeah. And then he chanted very nicely. He really chanted very attentively and carefully this Gopal 10-syllable mantra. Then the goddess Kamakya herself gave him instructions how to chant and meditate on it, and different sort of related practices which will help with the chanting. And then the mantra appeared before him. On the order of the goddess, he chanted the mantra constantly to himself in a secluded place. Gradually, he gave up his desire for wealth, and his heart became satisfied. Right. Well, okay. So what's explained? Anyway, okay. So he started making progress, in other words. and his heart started to become purified. And of course, one important symptom that your heart is becoming purified is that your material desires reduce. If they don't reduce or if they increase, then that means that you are not practicing properly. So, but now he gradually, because he was chanting nicely, under the supervision of the goddess Kamakya, he became purified, and that was visible through his giving up his desire for wealth. Ignorant of the real facts, he thought that something other than this mantra, something in the next life, must be his means of success and the goal of his endeavors. Oh, he became confused. And he thought that, why am I chanting this mantra? Although actually that was the thing which was helping. But somehow, in his confusion, he thought that something else, maybe something in the next life, would help him become successful. He left his home and other connections and began wandering among pilgrimage places, maintaining his bodily needs by begging. And thus he traveled to the place where the Ganga meets the ocean, Ganga Sagar, down there in Bengal. There on the shore of the Ganga he saw many Brahmins, mostly family men, who were expert in all fields of knowledge and devoted to performing their prescribed duties. 42. He heard them describe regular and occasional duties one is obliged to perform, optional duties for particular desires, and the fruit of these acts, attainment of the heavenly planets. Yeah, so these are not pure devotees, obviously. These are materialistic householder devotees. Oh no, Krishna help. Thank you. From the various words they spoke to express their determined vows, he saw how firm the Brahmins were in their intentions to perform these duties. His faith aroused. He began to follow this process according to their instructions. You see, he started chanting the mantra given by Kamakya, who helped him, and he was making advancement. But then, unfortunately, even though he had been making advancement, he got deviated. And so he went out. Sort of to, make his spiritual or religious fortune or something. So now, because he's not well educated spiritually, he really doesn't know what's what in spiritual or religious life. So now he's come here to Ganga Sagar, which is a famous pilgrimage spot. And he sees these people, they're really into their materialistic worship. And he thinks, wow, hey, he's really impressed. So he wants to do that. So he does. He starts following whatever program they're doing. But out of respect for the goddess's order, he regularly continued to chant his mantra quietly in private. He hadn't given it up. He sort of lost faith in it, but he continued doing it. And by the influence of the mantra, he felt no inner satisfaction from those rituals, the ones performed by those people down at the Gangasaga, their materialistic rituals. So he felt, he sort of, well, the next verse says, he therefore lost interest and went to Kashi, where he saw people from many different regions, especially sannyasis propounding the theory of monism. He first offered his obeisances to Lord Vishveshvara, and then visited the various ashrams where he bowed down to the sannyasis, had discussions with them, and rested in their company. The intelligence of these sannyasis were pure, or at least it seems so from their philosophical talks. Their words described liberation as something readily available, as if held in the palm of one's hand, and this inspired him to accept their opinions as perfect. You see what's happening? He's just an innocent person. He's really looking, but he doesn't really know what he's looking for. And so when he finds someone who seems like, interesting, he follows the person. He would constantly hear from them descriptions of the Vedanta doctrine, glorifying renunciation and liberation. He would bathe at Manikarnika Ghat and have darshan of Lord Vishveshvara, and without having to work for his meals, he would enjoy tasty food to his liking in the company of the sannyasis. He thus developed the desire to become a sannyasi himself. Stick around the sannyasis, get some Mahaprasad, and then think, oh, I should become a sannyasi also. Still out, this is verse 50, still out of respect for the goddess, and because it gave him pleasure within, he never gave up chanting his mantra. And one day he saw the deity of his mantra in a dream. Wow. So it's a Gopal mantra, of course. 10-syllable Gopal mantra given by Kamakya, but it's actually a Gopal mantra. So this means he saw Gopal in his dream. The charm of Sri Gopal attracted him and gave him the greatest ecstasy. And thereafter he could no longer find the mental strength to engage in anything other than chanting his mantra. It's a little like Krishna explains in the 6th chapter, isn't it, of Bhagavad Gita, the fate of the fallen yogi, unsuccessful yogi. That gradually the yogi gets, because of, whatever practice he's done, the yogi gets born in families which help to develop a little bit further, until finally he gets born in the family of great devotees, and then he just becomes spontaneously attracted to pure devotional service. So, yes. So therefore now he's just getting more and more into chanting the mantra, and now he's like an addict, confused about what he should do. He became depressed. Then in another dream, Lord Shiva came to him along with the goddess to instruct him. Who's the goddess? Kamakya is a form of Durga, Parvati. She's the wife of Shiva. So she came with Lord Shiva to instruct him. So the thing is, he's living there in Kashi with these sannyasis, but he's so attracted to Gopal in his mantra. But still he's living with the sannyasis, and there's some attraction to them. So he's wondering, in his mind there was this dilemma, should I become a sannyasi and strive for liberation, or should I just chant my mantra? And, this is what happens if you get the wrong association, devotees. You get the wrong association, then your mind will change in terms of that association. Yeah. As those people you're associating with are, you'll become influenced in that direction. So he's wondering, should I take sannyas and try for liberation, or should I just chant my mantra? Yeah. So now Kamakya and Shiva, who is the Lord of Kashi, of course, because we're still in Kashi. They have appeared, and Kamakya, they're going to speak. Lord Shiva said, "Foolish man, don't take sannyas. Go at once to Sri Mathura. There in the Vrindavan forest, you will surely fulfill all your desires." I mean, taking sannyas is nice, actually, if any of you'd like to do it. But this is Mayavad, impersonal sannyas. That's not nice. So, eager to go to Mathura, the Brahmin set off toward that district, all the while chanting its glories. On the way, he came to Prayag. So he was heading westwards because he's come from Gangasagar, looking from your side. Gangasagar is down here, right? Now he's come up to Kashi, and now he's reached Prayag, and Vrindavan's up around there. And he's chanting, Mathura, Mathura. There at the king of holy places, that's Prayag. It's famous. It's got this name, Tirtharaj, the king of holy places. There at the king of holy places, by the charming Yamuna, within the Ganga, he found hundreds of saints who had gathered near the effulgent lotus feet of Lord Madhava to bathe at dawn in the month of Magh. Yes. 56. On every side before him, he saw them conducting a great festival of worship for Sri Vishnu, with expressions of joyous devotion like constant singing, offering of obeisances, and recitation of prayers. The loud congregational chanting of the Lord's names, along with music, dancing, sobbing, and plaintive cries of love, was attractive. So, this is in Prayag, Madhava, otherwise known as Bindu Madhava. Bindu Madhava is the famous deity, as Vishveshvara, form of Shiva, is the famous deity in Kashi. So in Prayag, it's Bindu Madhava. Innocent, ignorant, and amazed, he said to those Vaishnavs, "Excuse me, you singers, you reciters of prayers, and you who are falling on the ground like rods." He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to think. He doesn't know how to interact with them. So So he thinks that maybe they're like entertainers, possibly. And so he interrupted the kirtan and addressed the Vaishnavas in these sort of not very nice ways, disrespectful ways. My dear musicians, dear chanters and dancers, loudly crying out, Rama, Krishna, you men adorned with beautiful tilak and attractive garlands, please calm down for a moment and stop making such a racket. Ooh. What is this ceremony you're observing? Whom are you so reverently worshipping? Wow. You can see he doesn't know his way around the devotees. Some of the Vaishnavas simply laughed at hearing this. Others told him, you fool, just be quiet. Yet others, compassionate to fallen souls, said to him something else. Yeah. So those are more advanced devotees. They could understand that he doesn't know. He's ignorant, but he's very interested. So therefore they spoke to him very nicely and helped him. The holy Vaishnav said, hey, bewildered son of a Brahmin, don't you understand anything? Don't ever again address devotees of Vishnu like that and speak to them such nonsense. Sometimes you need to be straightened out a little. Yeah. You need to be told what's what. Initiated by our gurus, we always worship the Supreme Lord Vishnu with the mantras and methods they have given us. O best of Brahmins, we are worshipping the Lord in various forms. Some of us worship him in his feature as Nrsimha, some as Lord Raghunath, and others as Sri Gopal. So, yeah. Anyway, 64. Sri Pariksit said, hearing this made the Brahmin feel ashamed. With great humility, but with joy, he asked them, where does this Lord live? What is he like? What benefits is he able to grant? Just like, on a few occasions when we've been doing Food for Life, some of the local people have approached me and asked, in your religion, are you allowed to do this or that? Different things. So this Brahmin is kind of in a similar consciousness. The holy Vaishnav said, he is the Supreme Master, and he always lives everywhere, both within and without. No one anywhere compares to him in any respect. He is the super soul within the heart of every living being, the Lord of all lords of the universe, the all-attractive, concentrated embodiment of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. He dwells in the world of Vaikuntha, where he always can be seen. And to his servants, he gives his very self. Oops. Let's just see how much further should we go on. Okay, couple more verses. So this is still the local devotees preaching to the Brahmin. The Shrutis and Smritis glorify him. Who can describe his greatness? But while you're here, please listen to the profuse histories spoken about him from the Puranas. Just bow down to Lord Madhava and behold him, the direct manifestation of the Lord of the universe. And soon you will understand for yourself all this and much more. So they're more advanced devotees, and there's a lot they could say, they're quite qualified devotees, but they can see this is an ultra neophyte. It's almost like a pre-neophyte, but anyway, he's really neophyte. So they're just introducing him to these things. Just offer obeisances to the Lord. Look at him. Just be engaged in these programs with us. And soon you'll understand for yourself all of these things and much more, because they know much more. Hare Krishna. So devotees, we will resume tomorrow. Friday, anyway, tomorrow we'll resume. Try and remember, we're on verse 69. All right? Someone? 69. So we don't get lost. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Brihad Bhagavatamrita Ki Jai. Srila Sanatana Goswami Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.